All right, we are going to complete the square. Complete the square here for lesson 14. It says let's complete the square for some more complicated expressions. Now there's some of these where I'm not going to agree that the perfect way is to complete the square. Mostly because of the number that is out front. They can get rather complicated if you choose this method. But we're still going to do some of them, especially being able to FOIL with numbers that aren't always just an x or a nice perfect number. So question number 1. Elena says x plus 3 can be expanded to x squared plus 6x plus 9. Okay, standard form. Likewise, 2x plus 3 can be expanded. It says find the error and correct it. So which one of those is wrong?
The second one.
Why?
Well, because the 2x is going to change the middle terms.
Yeah, the 2x is fine for the first part, 2x times 2x. The 9 is fine for the 3 times 3. Now what is the middle term? Well, it's going to be 6x plus 6x. So it should be 12x to be correct. Question 2. Let's choose one of those, do it together, and let's have you try some. Let's do B. Again, you can FOIL, you can draw a diagram, or maybe you've seen the tricks. 5 squared times 5 squared is 25x squared. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, so all I gotta do is figure out the middle term. Some people have caught on that if I multiply these two, I get negative 10x, and I just need to double that to get the middle term. Whatever is most comfortable for you. We've shown many ways to do some of these. Okay, why don't you try A and C? All right, if you want to check yours, and let me know if you have any questions, or just decide to do them all, I guess.
What is, on each, shouldn't it be, at the very beginning, shouldn't it be 2 KX?
If you're adding them, or you're multiplying. Km, just like x times x is x squared, kx times kx is kx squared, is put a square in both of them. If it was in parentheses. Yep. If you don't put parentheses, then just the x is squared. Question was, could I leave it like this? That is only x squared, so if you're going to do that, it would have to be both.
But it wouldn't matter if we did.
Nope. Question number 2. Are they perfect squares?
No.
Well, let's check the first one. What's the square root of 4x squared?
Well, 2x or.
2x.
Oh, wait.
Square root of 9.
Oh,
3.
All right, so will that give you
no. Wait.
the same answer?
No.
Yes.
Wait.
Well, I'm hearing yes and no, so
It's, yes, it's 6x plus 6x.
yeah, so that is a perfect square. Because this would give you what this is. Let's try this one. That'd be 2x and 5.
No.
Is that a perfect square? Why not?
It does not equal 8x.
What does it equal?
20x.
Yeah, that would have to be a 20x, 10x and 10x. So this one is yes, this one is no unless that is a 20. Question number 3. Directions for me, Sam, please.
Find the value of c to make each expression in the left column a perfect square in standard form, and then write an equivalent expression in the form of squared factors in the last row. Write your own pair of equivalent.
All right, so the thing that we would have to do is complete the square.
The perfect square. One.
Okay, it wants us to come up with a number here that works, so we're going to plug in something for C. Now there is only one value for C that would work, you just proved that on the last problem. Okay, I can't randomly say, well, 9 is a perfect square, and then automatically think that that's how I'm going to get 80 in the middle. All right? So if I'm looking at this, I know it's going to be 10x plus something. Now here's the trick. Whatever number is here has to be a perfect square, so your answer, your choices are 1 times 1, which is 1, 2 times 2, and so on. But these two are going to have to multiply to give you half of this number. So whatever number goes here has to give me 40. So your answer would be 4. So what number would get plugged in for C?
4. Oh. 16.
4 times 4.
Would
16.
it not be 160?
Would not. I don't know where you got 160 from.
So just take this 4 squared. Like in every one.
Well,
Well,
if it's 4,
but no, it's
yeah, we're completing the square.
perfect.
No, it is a perfect square, but the process is completing the square. All right, let's do one more. What is the square root of 36x?
6x.
And then I got to come up with a number then that goes here. That will once again give me half
5.
of that. So half of negative 60 is Negative 30. So what can I multiply to give me negative 30? Negative 5. Somebody other than Georgia needs to tell me what goes in for C. 5 times 5 is 25. Hey, why don't you try the next two?
Leave it alone.
Sure, I'm making one up for the last one. Same process, please.
There's another 0 here. Yeah. So much for not giving out the answers, Mr. Moran.
I don't know what one that is.
It doesn't matter.
That is very wrong.
I like these.
Yep.
But it's still like around there.
Sure, it's around there.
Mr. Moran.
No.
All right, so we should be done. Hopefully find these not too difficult. Completing the square. 5x. Now remember, these two need to multiply to give you half of that. So half of 40 is, so this needs to multiply to give me 20. Positive 4, there are no negatives in the problem here. What goes in for C? 16. What times what is 0.25? 0.5. Again, these two have to multiply to give you half of negative 14. What's half of negative 14? So these two have to multiply to give me negative 7. Negative 14 is correct. Negative 14 times negative 14. Yes. If it's not, you cannot complete the square.
Yeah.
And you cannot complete the square. Now these are a lot easier if this number is 1, right? X squared. So I'm not a big fan of using complete the square if it's not. There's going to be other methods that I think is a lot easier, especially one I can think of that's coming to mind that we got to cover yet. And then pretty soon it'll be up to you with however you'd like to solve it. So square root of 49x squared. These two have to add or multiply to give you half of 14. Half of 14 is 7. Well, 7 times 1 is 7. See? 1.
What?
All right, we are going to skip number 2 for reasons that I've mentioned. Now, anytime I don't see a 1 here, I'm going to put a little star by method 1. I think that's going to be your best choice. Okay, I don't like completing the square. They do show you a couple other methods. I'm going to let you browse those on your own.
Wait, how are we solving these before? Were we just finding factors of?
Yes, which is what we're going to do on this one because this number is not a 1. Okay, I don't want to deal with that because I don't want to divide everything by 5 and then I'm going to get fractions, then it's going to be messy. So all I'm going to do here, after we practiced completing the square on the perfect ones, if it's not perfect, I'm going back to the old school, try factors.
I have a question.
Okay? So again, I like to write down the factors of 6 so I know my choices. There is only one set of factors for 5. Of course, it's 5 and 1, so I'm going to write that one in there.
That's not a perfect square.
Right, which is why we're doing this method. We can't use completing the square because it's not perfect, like those other ones in the chart were.
Oh, so all of these are the same?
Right. Basically saying you got three ways to solve it. I think this way is the easiest. If that number is not a 1 and it's not perfect. So factors of 6, guys, that will add up to 17. Again, if you have no idea, try a number. I'm going to try 1 and 6. Well, that's 30 plus 1. That's not 17. I know that doesn't work. So let's try 6 and 1. Let's flip it. 5 plus 6, 11. Still not right, so that one's out. Let's try 2 and 3.
Yep.
15 plus 2, 17. Perfect. Now don't forget to solve. Subtract 2, divide by 5. Answer. This one you can probably see what would give you 0 there. Negative 3.
Wait, what did you just do there?
Solved it. Found the zeros.
Equals 0, and then, okay. So you just want to-
Okay, let's try number 2. Again, I notice it's not a perfect square. 10's not a perfect square. So I cannot complete the square to solve it. So I'm going to bring that back over. And I'm going to factor. Everything's a plus there, so these are plus. I do not know what number goes in front yet because 6 has multiple choices, as does 10. So you're trying to add up to 19. Here's your choices for the first numbers that go in front of the x. Here's your choices for the second numbers that go here. I'll give you a minute and see if you can get to 19. You have no idea what you're doing, just start plugging in.
Do you know what you're doing on this? Like, do you know the answer already? Or do you have to plug in?
No, well, you kind of do it in your head by multiplying like 6 times 10 and 1 times 1. Or 1 times 6 and 1 times 10 and kind of playing with it that way. By process of elimination.
Found it. I think. Yeah.
I mean, I can tell by looking at 3 and 5, 15 gets me really close, so that's probably where I would start. I would match up to 3 and 5.
Honestly, 3 too.
I don't know, we don't know how many of these we're gonna do.
Try to fix it.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of.
Hopefully. Should be.
We should just this page and just do this one.
Okay.
That's just my 12.
Do we have another test or is it just our semester final?
Should be another test. Haven't decided for sure what I'm doing with the final yet. All right. 4 plus 15. That's how you get to 19. So your answers would be solving at -2.5 and -2/3.
Hold on, what'd you get? -2.5. Okay. Wait, shouldn't it be -1.5?
5 divided by 2 is 2.5.
No.
All right, let's pick one more. You guys pick one on the next page.
How about
5? 5 is interesting. Because you have a minus here, remember I have one of each. So factors of 10, your choices are 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Factors of 36, got a lot of them. But I do like that this is 37. I think that'll make it pretty easy for you. Got to add up to 37.
he's deep in the call.
You're trying to move on.
You look like you.
That's so weird.
Okay, put it that way to what you want.
You have to be chatting. Everything he was actually gonna do.
If anybody thinks they have it, I'll take it. You think? What do you got?
Wait for inside the
What do you got? Tell me what you have.
5x plus 36, 2x minus 1.
The middle term would be 72 minus 5.
It's gonna be 10x and 1x, I think. Yeah, that's what I think. Well, I know that for sure because. I put. Ten x plus 7, 1x minus 3.
7. 7's not a choice. Last two numbers need to multiply to 36.
I was just looking at the filter.
I don't think it's this, I don't think it's 10x because
Found it.
yeah.
45 minus 8. 45 minus 8.
See that one?
That was hard.
That was the hardest one on there.
Who picked that one? Sammy? No. You both picked it.
Okay, so those do take a little time. I'll have to check on the assignment here when we look now. If there's a bunch of those, I'll probably eliminate a few. They are all the same.
Oh, there looks to be quite a few.
First one there, select all that are perfect squares. I think you can handle that. 2, fill in the missing number.
Perfect square.
You can handle that. 3, same thing. So far, so good.
A lot of numbers. 6. Yeah, the whole page.
B. Says solve by completing the square. Solve by the method that we just got done doing. And let's just do the first one. So cross out that one. Question number 5, simple. Question number 6. So those you can complete the square on because there's no term in front of the x. That should be super easy. 7, again, not a big fan of that. It is multiple choice, but they're on the next page.
Are we doing 10 or 6?
Yep, I'm doing all those. So I guess I only eliminated 1 because that was the only other completing the square one. These do not have a number in front, so those should be the easy ones. So that should be it. 1 through 8 for Monday.